Welcome back to Sunday Night in America. Congress is working to codify spending cuts, and the plague called fentanyl may be abating. Meanwhile, President Trump signed the Genius Act, which regulates digital currency.
The Genius Act creates a clear and simple regulatory framework to establish and unleash the immense promise of dollar-backed stable coins. This could be perhaps the greatest revolution in financial technology since the birth of the Internet itself. We worked hard. It's a very important act, the Genius Act. They named it after me, and I want to thank you.
Joining us is Alabama Senator Katie Britt. Welcome, Senator. Do they call it the Genius Act because you have to be a genius to understand cryptocurrency? Or how does it impact even those of us who still like to use our debit cards or, heaven forbid, carry folding money in our wallets?
Well, Trey, I think you're right. I've had to obviously try to wrap my hands around this, my head around this, and figure out how do we move forward. What we know is this is where things are moving, and it is critically important that we put the proper guardrails up that allow us to thrive and allow America to continue to innovate and us continue to lead in this area. The last thing we want to do is drive innovation off shores right into the hands of China. And the leadership here on the Genius Act, obviously by President Trump, by Senator Bill Hagerty, by Senator Cynthia Lummis, allowed us to do just that. And Trey, we're just getting started. As you know, we're working on a market structure bill as well. And this will allow America to continue to lead. We know this is where we're going, and we want to make sure that we have a front row seat to it.
Hold that China thought, because I want to come back to it in just a second. Cutting is hard. Spending is easy. Where do we stand with codifying these reductions in spending that were identified earlier this year?
Well, once again, President Trump is making good on the promises he made to the American people. He talked about this on the campaign trail, and he is actually putting it into action. This rescission package is a first step to reining in wasteful spending. Look, Trey, where we are is unsustainable. This was significant. It is $9 billion, but at the same time, when you look across the board, we are $37 trillion in debt. We are just getting started. I actually have a special guest here in the studio with me, and it's my son. And this is about him. This is about the next generation. What we're doing right now is saddling our children and our children's children with debt that's unsustainable. It's not just fiscally irresponsible, Trey, it is morally irresponsible. And I am so grateful to President Trump and his leadership for saying, the buck stops with me, and we're starting to rein this in to make sure that we can make these things more sustainable for the next generation, and America can be more secure. Because, Trey, nobody knows this better than you. But this isn't just about our economic prosperity, which is critically important, because we know when we are spending money on things that we don't need, we are driving people out of things like the housing market and other things that they need to be affordable for the American dream. But this is also about national security. And the debt that we are saddled with here in our nation is a national security threat. It's one that, unfortunately, China in many ways has some keys to. And President Trump is saying enough is enough. We're going to make some changes right now, and I was proud to be a part of that rescissions package and the leadership of Senator Eric Schmidt and being able to vote that into law and get that to the president's desk.
Senator, there's a little video floating around, an exchange between you and Senator Chris Murphy on the Senate floor. There's no audio. I watched it several times. A mutual friend of ours sent it to me. It looked like an Alabama versus Auburn kind of conversation, except very, very one-sided. I have not seen you that fired up before, but something clearly had your attention. I'm not going to ask you about a private conversation, but it looked like you got your point across to Chris.
You know, I'll allow the contents of the conversation, to your point, to stay between the two of us. Clearly, incredibly passionate, both of us are, about various issues, many times sitting on opposite sides of the aisle or perspective of those, where you can see eye to eye with someone and have common ground, move it forward. But when you don't, you let them know. And I think you saw that firsthand.
We did. I want to mention another area where you have been active. Fentanyl is killing young Americans while Chinese vaping devices are hurting them. What, in your judgment, can be done with either or both?
Yeah, look, this is yet another area where President Trump is taking what happened under the Biden administration, just the complete and total dismissal, essentially, President Biden had, letting our borders be overrun, letting our streets, where fentanyl is kind of moving coast to coast and in every corner, in every community of our country. We saw under President Biden's failed leadership that fentanyl became the leading cause of death between the ages of 18 and 45. President Trump said enough's enough. He secured our border. He said, look, I'm going to use the economic tools in my toolbox to make sure that Mexico and Canada are actual partners in ensuring we don't lose young Americans to fentanyl and opioid overdose. And then this is yet another tool. I'm proud of Congress stepping up, moving this forward. This is something a lot of us have been working on for a long time. We think that this is yet another way to keep Americans safe. It's showing all of the people across the country, when we said we want to keep you safe and we want America strong and we want it prosperous, we meant it, and we're taking action now. I mean, these first 6 months, Trey, of the Trump administration have been unprecedented, whether it is creating peace and structure across the globe, whether it's securing our border, whether it's creating more opportunity for Americans to keep more of their hard-earned money with the One Big Beautiful Bill, or whether it's tackling things like this, because I think all of us, Trey, have sat across from parents who have lost their child to a fentanyl overdose. I did that on the campaign trail. I continue to hear from these parents and their heartbreaking stories in my office as a United States Senator. I know many of us have heard a story that I heard when I was in San Diego from a DEA agent about a mom that lost both of her boys to a fentanyl overdose. They had split a Percocet before going to a party and are no longer with us. And so we've got to do something now. It only takes the equivalent of 5 grains of sand to be laced into a pill. 5 grains of sand, the equivalent of that in fentanyl, to kill someone. And so we're taking action now. And I am so proud of the United States Senate and Congress for getting that to President Trump's desk and his continued leadership, putting the next generation of Americans first.
Well, to your point, almost all of us know somebody impacted by that, and there is nothing that cuts like the loss of a child. So please tell your special guest that's with you today hello, that he's got a really good mama, but do not get on her bad side. As
right.
Show him that Chris Murphy video the next time he wants to do something wrong. Do not get on Katie Britt's bad side.
Yeah, my husband said he feels like he's been in that position once or twice before.
Well, I think most husbands have seen that. It just wasn't public. Katie Britt from the great state of Alabama, thank you for joining us on a Sunday night.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.